Hey, it's Scotty G here with podcast episode number 3 of Scotty G's Pod Spot. The first two were done in New Jersey, one at the Asbury Park Roastery with the Armenian and Phil Connors, and the second one was done at Giants Stadium after another disappointing Giants loss this season. And I never really talked much about what my podcast is going to be about, and also why I did it the way I did on the road there. I've had trouble finding a studio that meets all my requirements, and I also, see all these podcasts that are really nice and fancy with fancy software and a studio and graphics and all these things that make it look really neat and professional. And I'm struggling to find all studio where I can do all that stuff that meets my requirements, as I have just said. And I thought about it. What's the point of a podcast? It's getting your message out there, your thoughts. It's giving you some information. It doesn't matter if you have fancy graphics and software and a fancy studio. So podcast number 3 is here in my home office, and it's going to be without a guest because I'm basically going to tell you what my podcast is going to be about. If you look at my website, www.scottig.com, SCOTTIG.com, I want to do a podcast on comedy, sports, and movies. And not necessarily all 3 in each podcast. I want to keep my podcast short and sweet because when I was a guest on podcasts that were 45 and 90 minutes long, very few of my friends watched them, not because they didn't want to, they just didn't have the time. They didn't have time to watch it for 45 minutes or an hour and a half. So I'm going to try to do 1 to 3 or 4 a week, but keep them around 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes max. Just giving you information on what's going on. And we'll stick to comedy right now because, let me go back to the Giants. Podcast number 2. I was very disappointed. The Giants were going on a drive in the last 2 minutes of the game to tie the game and possibly send it to overtime. And Jameson Winston threw an interception, and I said in Giant Stadium after the game, I got to look at the video because I wasn't sure if it was a bad throw or if Jalen Hyatt's route didn't run the right route, or if there was a timing miscommunication. And watching the video when I got back home here to Pennsylvania from New Jersey, it looks like Jalen Hyatt didn't complete his route in the end zone. That he just kind of stopped running the route as if he was not expecting the ball. I mean, of course, I'm not a Giants coach. I don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like Jameson Winston made a bad throw. It just looks like it was a timing thing. He was throwing it to a spot, and Jalen Hyatt was not in that spot. But in looking at other plays there in the game in the fourth quarter, there's another play where Jalen Hyatt ran too deep of a route. I thought there was a crossing route with him and Wan'Dale Robinson that he should have run flat. So basically run flat across the field, get a cross with Wan'Dale Robinson, which would give a screen to free up Jalen, and he would have been wide open inside the 5-yard line. Instead, when Wan'Dale went flat, Jalen went high into the end zone, which didn't accomplish the screen that the play was meant to have. So therefore, Jalen Hyatt's defender was on him, and he wasn't open. It wound up being, if I remember, it was a sack on that play. I watched a lot of plays. I think Jameson got sacked because there was no one open, but Hyatt, if he had run flat and got the screen on the cornerback, he would have been open inside the 5-yard line. So Giants, I thought, could have won that game. It was a close game, and it was very disappointing. But now we'll move on to the comedy. Okay, real quick on the comedy. I just tweaked again my new headline set. I wrote 4 jokes on the way back from New Jersey from the Giants game and just added them to the act and took a couple of old ones out. So I'm really feeling good about this new headline act, and I want everyone to see it. So 2 days from now, Saturday, November 22nd at Black Jax Sports Bar and Grill in the Quality Inn Hotel off of Route 90 in Erie, Pennsylvania, right down just north of Presque Isle Downs Casino. We're doing a comedy night to benefit the March of Dimes. Tickets are $20 in advance, with $15 going to the March of Dimes. Basically, all proceeds. I'm just keeping money for expenses. Actually, I'm operating at a loss for the show. So March Dimes is getting, all the proceeds, plus some of my cost, basically. So they're going to, basically the March Dimes is going to get the lion's share of the ticket revenue from the show, 75 to 80%. I'm only keeping money to cover the majority of my expenses, but not all. And it's going to be a great night. Rob Kocur and Craig Baxter opening for me. They're very funny comics. I've got a new headline set I'm excited about. And there's, I think, just shy of 50 tickets left. Just under 50 tickets. You can get them at the door for an extra $5, $25, but you may get to the door and it's sold out. You may not be able to. We will be a limited seating where we're doing it at Black Jax. So you might not be able to get in if you wait to get it at the door. So you got 48 hours. I got to do the math now. 60 hours. Yeah, roughly 60 hours to go out there from when I'm recording this to go get your tickets in advance and be there for a great show, great food at Black Jax. Come 6 to 8 p.m. It's not too late on a Saturday. Come have some fun, laugh, bring friends, laugh with them, and just forget about life for a couple hours and, tune out the outside world and come have a good time. All right. That's it. Scotti G. Oh, tickets. You can get the tickets for the show at my website, www.scottig.com. That's where you can find all this stuff at my website. You can find out about my podcasts, the movies I'm going to be in or are already in, and my comedy shows. All the entertainment stuff is going to be there. So, Scotti G